You're listening to the Identity at the Center podcast. This is the show that talks about identity and access management and making sure you know who has access to what. Let's get started. Welcome to the Identity at the Center podcast. I'm Jeff, and that's Jim. Hey, Jim.
Hey, Jeff. How are you?
Oh, not so bad. Yourself?
I think we have an issue with temperature control.
I don't feel like there's an issue at all. It feels great.
Because you always get your way.
Sometimes.
This is
there are certain non-negotiables.
It's like 65 degrees in here, Jeff.
I'm looking at the thermostat, 66 degrees in here.
It's like an ice box in here.
It's nice. This is cool. This is like
You're going
the
to
right
freeze
temperature.
me out of here.
Well, we've got a lot of technology in here. You know, we have to keep it cool to make sure that things are operating at a consistent level.
Here's something most people probably don't know about you is you're pretty environmental. Jeff, it's 110 degrees outside, and in our room it's like 66.
Yeah. And there's 3 air conditioners in this suite, by the way. There's 3 different thermostats, and I have them all set to 66 because I need it to be cool. And I have my fan running here next to me.
I've spoken my piece.
All right. So we're here at the Gartner IAM Summit, having a lot of different conversations with very cool people in the industry. Our next one is no different. It's with Jaime Lewis-Gross. She's the Vice President, Solutions Engineering and Strategy with Saviynt. She's also a great friend and family of the program. Welcome back, Jaime.
Thank you for having me. This is fun.
Yeah, so this is the original, I think, not original, because I was probably the add-on, but the strategy team for Identity.
The OG strategy team.
Exactly. So this has been a little bit of like a homecoming, I think, for lots of the former Identropians that have been
It sure has.
moved on to like different areas. But
The 3 of us were the strategy team for Gartner.
we were.
We developed the strategy and roadmap for Gartner. I think that's
the
like,
internal identity and access management strategy.
but it's still something to be proud of.
I'm not sure if we can say that, but we just did. So
We just
the
did.
statute of limitations have maybe elapsed. It was probably, 5 years ago, maybe,
Yeah.
roughly? But yeah, kind of a cool little feather in all of our caps. It's like, hey,
I think so.
who did Gartner go to create their IAM strategy? Oh, they went to Jaime, Jim, and Jeff.
Yeah,
which is
well,
weird.
remember people used to say you have to have a first initial J to work at your company.
Yep.
Because we had also Jeff Chang and a few others. Anyway,
We digress.
Yeah.
All right, let's get back. Let's get on topic.
Let's
here.
get to it.
Yeah, let's talk identity. So, Jaime, how's the conference going so far for you?
The conference is going well. There's a lot of energy. It's certainly keeping us busy. There's a lot of people wanting to talk to us in the booth. So it's exciting. We get to, tell customers about the benefits of our organization, how to solve business problems, and just a lot happening.
I did notice that your booth had a lot of foot traffic. So how much time have you been spending at the booth versus going out and striking up conversations with people?
I would say 90% of my time has been striking up conversations in the booth.
In the booth, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I find this that everybody is like pretty open to, conversations. Like I sat down with some folks today at breakfast, and one of the people was wearing a shirt with a little Hershey kiss on it. I was like, "Do you work for Hershey's?" I was like, "Yeah."
No, just a fan.
Did you
Yeah,
see
no.
our shirts? I hope you saw our shirts.
I haven't seen your shirt. I saw you have like a T-shirt shaped like beer koozie.
We have beer koozies.
Oh, yeah, that's
yes.
cool.
Beer koozies for the beer garden tonight. But no, the I Know Pam shirts, and I Know Pam too. Yep. You should check them out.
Reminds
I think you each need a shirt.
I'm sure we'll stop by and get some. That's the one thing I haven't done yet is go really through the vendor hall or the expo hall, whatever we're calling it, and actually like talk with the vendors. I feel like I've just been working the whole time and not really had a chance to like actually explore and talk with some of the vendors out there.
I was hanging out at the One Cosmos booth. I can't say that. One Cosmos booth for like 5 minutes, and I saw there's people who go around from booth to booth who just, scan my badge so I can
Get the
take
swag.
all the swag items that you have and throw them in my bag. So
I know. Why do they want to carry all of those home?
I don't know.
I don't.
I just don't know
I
why.
remember, no, I mean, early in my conference going days, I would try to get the T-shirts and you wash them twice and then you have to throw them out because they fall apart.
Not that Saviynt's t-shirts are like that. I'm sure
No.
they're very high quality.
They are very high quality.
I
High
don't know,
quality cotton.
gold and platinum threads and
Yes.
stuff like that. I don't know. Every conference seems to have those folks who like to just accumulate all the stuff.
That is true.
It's like RSA was the same way. I remember walking through, like, if you've been to RSA, it's at the Moscone Center, downtown San Francisco, and they have this tunnel that basically connects north and south, which is typically where they have like the vendor halls. And I remember walking through a couple years ago, and the walls were lined with people with bags of stuff, like big shopping bags, two-handers, both hands like loaded with just junk. And I'm like, okay, how are you going to get that anywhere? And how is that worth anything to anyone?
Right.
I don't get it.
A lot of stress squeeze balls.
Yeah, a lot of stupid stuff. I mean,
Jeff, you forgot to mention also, we are in this luxurious suite
We are.
that is 66 degrees, and our friends at RSM are paying the bill for us, so we're very appreciative of that.
they are. Thank you very much, RSM, for keeping me cool while we're putting out this hot podcast.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't think we have to pay extra for the extra air conditioning, but
Well, I
yeah,
think
we've got these cool
technically-
cups too, so we trade those cups for T-shirts.
That's a good trade.
Yeah, that
Nice
is a good
Yeti
trade.
tumblers we've been giving away to folks who
Yeah.
have been appearing on the show.
VIPs only.
VIPs only, yes, and anyone else who we can get up here. So let's get back to the conference, because you mentioned you were having conversations. One of the conversations that you had was actually a presentation.
Yes.
It was a panel that you hosted yesterday that was called Stories of Cloud Identity Transformation. And you had representatives from Brown-Forman, Wawa, and Phillips 66. For folks who didn't catch it live, I guess, what's the synopsis from that conversation?
Yeah, so I would say the overall theme was really about technology, using technology to enable a larger cloud transformation strategy. However, it's not just about technology. So it goes back to some of the principles that the three of us are very familiar with as we did consulting with our customers, is that it's all about policy. You need to nail the policy. The policy then needs to be supported by the process. The process needs to be supported by the data, and then you have success with technology. So it was a pretty interesting conversation. They came with different perspectives. Certainly, there was a lot of discussion around, how do you approach moving from legacy to cloud, to support those initiatives.
Was there anything surprising? I'm sure you prepped for it, but with the folks that were on the panel, but was there anything surprising that came up from like a story perspective, or was like, oh, I hadn't really kind of like thought of that? Or was it, yeah, I kind of knew what I was getting into and sort of what to expect? Or maybe it was even the panel themselves where they didn't realize really what they were getting into and sort of had some realizations after the fact.
Yeah, I think that what often goes not unnoticed, but I think what organizations don't think about is the support that's necessary from a multitude of various resources to be successful. And that's something that each of them touched on at one point or another, is how do you bring together the right collections of people to be successful? And whether that's to streamline onboarding, whether it's to do data correlation, whether it's to do cleanup, it goes back to realistic time schedules and how you lead your teams through those programs, because you have so many touch points that often aren't thought about, I guess.
I was also thinking as we were sitting in that session, we talk about those three organizations you mentioned. What was it? Brown-Forman,
Wawa and
Wawa
Phillips
and
66.
Phillips. Yeah. So, those are organizations that were already big 10, 15 years ago. So they've already had IAM systems, probably legacy systems that were replaced by Saviynt. I'm obviously guessing, right? I don't know all the background.
Right.
But my perspective is when you're going to drop in a new system, you have to be willing and open-minded to change.
Right.
And that change includes, hey, maybe the way we've been doing things is not the way we should do them in the future. For some people, that's common sense, right? But for other people, that's like sacrilege. Like, there's no way we're going to change how we onboard people.
Right. Yeah, no, there's a lot of business process reframing that has to happen, because why port something over from a legacy solution into something that is going to give you the advantage of intelligence and make suggestions to you in terms of what users should have access to, what users shouldn't have access to. You certainly don't want to port over bad processes and bad data into a new solution. So certainly process reengineering. And I think that goes overlooked too. I don't think a lot of customers spend a lot of time realizing that there's work that they need to consider as part of their program.
Yeah, a lot of you automate garbage. What do you get?
Garbage.
Exactly, just more of it.
More
efficient garbage generation.
Garbage.
You've talked we talked a little bit about, I guess, your role here with Saviynt. Tell us about Saviynt. I think one of the things that we want to kind of bring to folks, especially this week with Gartner, is getting people familiar with some of the vendors that are in this space. Mm-hmm. What does Saviynt do? How are you guys different from others that are competing in the same area?
Yeah, it's funny. So it was roughly, 5-6 years ago, where
a sad day,
where Jeff and I discovered Saviynt, and we were looking at the fine grain entitlements and SOD capability that was specific to SAP. And we thought, this is interesting. They're doing something a little bit different. It's very configurable. There's a lot of visibility. There's a lot of orientation around key indicators and the health of programs. And as we peeled back the onion, we had more and more interest, so much so that I said, I think I'm going to go work for this company. So here I am 4 years later. And I think that was one aspect. It was, they were already converging, years ago, where we started with fine grain entitlements management. We realized very quickly that we had to wrap identity governance and administration around that. And then we've continued to converge from there. So, being a solution that was architected, born from the cloud, and it had the inherent intelligence that, these types of platforms need, were some of the, very early reasons why I thought it was going to be a pretty interesting company and start to shake up the industry a little bit.
Yeah, I remember sitting in that demo with you, and I was like, oh, this is different. This is interesting. Like, it was, it showed a lot of promise. I remember seeing it the first time just because of the approach that was being taken with the SAP roles, for example.
Right.
And that was a weakness that others in the space had. And it's a notoriously difficult system for any IGA vendor to really kind of get right. And it was interesting. It's always fascinating to see, these vendors that are out there, Saviynt included, but others, playing in the same space, and their evolution of the different capabilities. And I look at Saviynt and I see a platform.
Right.
And we were talking with Luis Almeida, and Clear Sky is built on a platform. They're built on the ServiceNow platform.
Right.
So I see this as sort of like the other side of that coin, which is, okay, we want to have our identity system be the platform.
Right. Yeah. And we've done it in a way that it's been very organic in nature. We're our own platform. We haven't done a number of, tech acquisitions that we then have to fold into our solution. So it's all been very natural. We have some visionaries, in the organization, and that's what brought us to PAM. Needing and seeing the need for that single enterprise journey and the appropriate context that you apply to that single enterprise journey, so that, if you're a regular user doing regular user things, you can do it very easily. Versus if you need to perform something that's administrative in nature, well, we only want to give you the access that you need for that moment in time. And that moment in time might be 5 minutes, it might be 10 minutes. And giving the visibility to ensure that whatever was done with the access that was granted for that period of time, or just generally speaking, if you're a regular user, that we have the history, behind it to support that enterprise journey.
Can you prove what you said you did happen
Exactly.
in the way that you said it was going to happen?
Right. Exactly.
Yeah, one of the things that I've always felt when I saw Saviynt was that you could really configure the system to work the way you want. And I think, look, this is why there are so many products in the IAM space. There's different ones that suit different needs and different organizations' wants and desires. So my thought on the configurability is like, I love that personally. I'm like, I want to be able to tune the system to the way I want. Others want like, give me the exact, simple Simon way to configure the system, and I don't want that configurability. But I think that as a product or as a platform, you have to decide which end of the spectrum are we going to be on. Are we going to try to restrict your ability to configure the system, or are we going to enable that? And it seems to me that Savient's more on we're going to enable you to have the system work the way you want.
Yeah, 100%. There's a lot of configuration capability, but there's also the movement towards, continuing to be very API friendly, as an example, and the thought around bring your own. So now, we want to encourage customers and partners to do things like build their own integrations, build their own UIs, and bring those things along. So, not only can you configure the 80% of the standard capability that you might require, the other 20% that you might want to make very specific to your unique business problems, you can bring it along with you because we have that extensibility layer to do so.
Building your own UI. That is bold, because I think that's something that normally most people would associate, at least in the identity space, with more of a consumer-based approach, where you've got like marketing and communications teams that really want to like craft the customer experience. And usually you'll see things like APIs and stuff kind of powering things behind the scenes. And I guess this is maybe a little bit of news to me, so you can educate me. When you say build your own UI, what are you talking about?
So I would say that a likely scenario would be mostly or more along the lines of third-party access governance. So, it's not SIAM necessarily, but you have delegated administration and you have different business entities, different types of third-party users, and perhaps you want to create a very simplistic UI for the third-party users who are accessing your system. That's one thing that comes to mind. But there's a lot of configuration within the UI itself, so there's not a necessity to bring your own. We just wanted to give that extensibility to customers. I would say, integrations are probably more popular than, say, bring your own UI.
So here's a topic that Jeff and I run into all the time, right? You have the potential client where their HR group is saying, our HR system is for employees only. We're only going to manage employee data. Yet they have all these non-employee users, so contractors, consultants, guests. And you as an IGA vendor, or really as like a consultant to your clients, how do you recommend that they address that problem? Is it manage those people in our solution, or look at some other solution, create a database? What is your approach to that problem?
It's often managing in our solution. We have third-party access management, so you can do the whole cradle to grave full life cycle management of those identities.
So that's kind of the consulting role of working with your clients. And one of the big themes here at Gartner this week was talking about selling an IAM program within the business, right? I think the way, I've referred to how Rebecca, who was talking about business value of IAM was, we're going from having a seat at the kids' table to having a seat at the adults' table. IAM is being taken seriously now.
Right.
But the way we need to communicate the value is in terms of the business value that IAM brings, so business results. Are you helping your clients in terms of like expressing that value, explaining that value? Is that something that's in your wheelhouse, or is that something they're doing ahead of time?
No, it's in our wheelhouse. I would say oftentimes customers focus so much on very explicit requirements because you're talking to technology folks. So it is our responsibility as subject matter experts to take those requirements and really understand what's at the root of them wanting to do something in a certain manner, or supporting a particular use case. So we always have to explain business value. I go back to my days of consulting, the so what. You're going to do this, so what? What does it mean to the business? Well, if you're going to implement peer analytics as part of your access request process, the so what is that it is going to suggest to you the appropriate access, and it makes it faster, more efficient, and then there's less work for your end users, and therefore they're spending less time managing their access. So we always have to go back to the so what and the business value, and ensuring that we have the right level of risk balanced with the right level of business process and efficiency.
Yeah, I think that's the big partnership where a technology vendor or a consulting partner can bring to their clients is, being able to help articulate that message. And kind of, one of the thoughts I was also having, I'm sure you kind of run into this a lot, is how do you help clients hit the ground quickly rather than like buying software and then kind of coming up? To me, it's like, you need to have that roadmap. You need to have that plan before you execute your contract, and that clock starts ticking, right? The bills start piling up pretty quickly, and you want to get something out there in production as quickly as possible.
Right.
And in reality, like the scenario where you buy the software and it becomes shelfware for a year, the technology vendor doesn't want that, right?
No.
That's
Absolutely
it's like not like our goal, like, hey, like with like gym memberships, like I think gyms like to sell memberships and then the people stop
don't
coming,
show up.
right? They don't show up. That's their business model. I don't think that technology vendors want that.
Right. We don't. And in fact, we've done a lot of things to be able to implement micro phases, micro projects in 6, 8, 10 weeks to drive that value. So something that I think is interesting that we do as an organization is, the concept in selling, you have mutual action plans. So what are the steps that are required to essentially get a customer to buy a solution? And what we do is we create a technology aspect of that. What are the things that need to happen for the customer to truly understand the advantage of the solution, and then break it down into little teeny tiny parts? Because we're still in a situation where all the education that we're doing is really being done through Zoom. There's still a lot of fatigue in these remote meetings. People don't want to be in 3, 4, 5-hour workshop settings. So we break it down into technical action plans so that we peel back the onion, we really can focus in on the pain points, and then we can drive a strategy that aligns with essentially like a quick start approach to getting something laid down for the customer, so that we don't take time between a customer being onboarded as a Saviynt customer and then seeing that value. So we try to set that up in advance through those workshops.
I love that idea of that what you call it, quick action plan, but like 4 weeks, 6 weeks, 8 weeks of value. Give us some examples of like what the scope of something like that might look like.
Yeah, so I would say, for example, taking some number of critical applications and just going back to, what does your data look like? So something that's very easy is you start with the data. What does that mean? Well, let's look at your risky entitlements for a particular number of applications, and let's get it through a certification. Let's get the revokes in place, and let's clean up the data. So very, very quick way to get a win in 8 to 10 weeks.
Yeah, for an organization that's about to spend money on an IGA solution, you can be pretty sure there's some data issues, right? There's going to be some.
Right.
It's
some
always
cobwebs
perfect. What
in
are you
that.
talking about, man?
Yeah, there's going to be some cobwebs in that data. So I think a data cleanup exercise where you can leverage that investment is a fantastic idea. You need to do the data cleanup, right? But you don't want to take 6 months and that's all you do.
Right.
So if you can kind of lay down some technology footprint, start to import that data, correlate it, look for the bad stuff, and maybe get your user interface out to some business users who can start to, knock out the cobwebs. Great
Right.
idea.
Yeah, and a super high value activity is around, PAM, remove standing access, standing privilege, get just in time laid down, for a series of users, and we turn that on and get it implemented for customers in 6 weeks. So now you've just taken some of that privilege and administration burden away from, your classic users that have just too much privilege. So eliminate that very quickly.
Yeah.
What I'm hearing is Jamie's going to come to your house and in 6 weeks solve all of your identity problems.
I'm going to try.
She's going to get in there. She's going to clean your data. Everything's going to be just in time.
Micro phases, micro projects, build success, build momentum. We all want to.
That's right. If you think that, then if you think it's going to all be done in 6 weeks, like I've got some beachfront property in Nebraska, I've got to sell you.
But you can get stuff done.
You can get stuff done.
It doesn't always have to be like this gee whiz, huge public facing thing. It could be, yeah, we got the data cleaned up. And that's a precursor. And guess what? The data is clean now. Like it's going to be used other places too. That could be an example. It could be a very basic workflow to do basic onboarding, basic offboarding. I feel like sometimes we get lost in the grand picture that we forget to celebrate the little wins along the way. And I think that's where the best roadmaps come in is how do you show iterative improvements?
Right.
You can't just go say, hey, go give me $2 million and I'll come back with an IAM platform in 2 years. Like that's not going to happen.
Yeah. We talk about it as get clean, stay clean.
Yeah. Well, I also think that in certain situations, as the IAM program manager or, the practitioner, it takes some bold leadership sometimes to, work up the chain and say, we're not going to be flipping a switch. In 9 months, all of our problems aren't going to go away. This is a matter of we're going to be running an IAM program from now until we both retire. We're always going to be in this game, and we're going to get ourselves, make the path to better. But in 9 months, all of our problems aren't going to be solved. That's sometimes hard. That's delivering bad news.
Right.
That nobody wants to hear. I'm not spending $1 million to get better. Well, that's the world we live in.
Yeah, there's always they're looking for guarantees, right? It's if I give this to you, I will never have another audit finding again.
Yeah.
No.
That's not the case.
You're reducing the risk, the chance of it happening
Right.
maybe, but it's not a realistic expectation.
Yeah.
All right, let's go ahead and start to wrap things up. But before we go, I know that we have a Star Wars super fan over here next to me. So we're going to close it out on a lighter note. I've got actually a couple. The first one.
This ought to be good.
Yes. Who or what is your favorite Star Wars character? I know what you're going to say. I'm going to ask you for an alternate. So you
I
already start
don't
thinking.
want rules. I mean, it has to be Leia.
Okay.
Every little girl loved Princess Leia because she embodies empathy and she brings together people for the greater good. And that's what I like to think I do.
You just don't have those big buns on the side of your head.
No, but I can.
You can. I've seen the pictures. All right. And then here's my second question. Still in the Star Wars universe. You have a daughter. What order did you show her the Star Wars movies in?
Obviously, we started with episode 4.
The true first episode.
The true first episode, A New Hope. And then we moved on to 5 and 6. And then we went 7, 8, and 9 because 1, 2, and 3, they just don't exist.
Whoa, curveball here. I liked one. I mean, look, I like Star Wars. I like them all. Sure, there were some annoying things. Even 7, 8, 9 had some weird stuff. Somehow Palpatine returned. This is the laziest piece of writing I think I've ever heard in a major franchise. But I still enjoy it for what it is.
Well, I can tell you that Rey is also very well liked in the household.
Okay.
I would say she's a second favorite.
Okay. I can see it. Jim, favorite Star Wars character?
Captain Picard.
Oh, boy.
Oh, unexpected.
Oh, boy. There goes all of our credibility.
You've been listening to the last episode of the Identity at the Center podcast.
That's right. This is going to be a solo show going forward, and I'd like to welcome my new co-host, Jamie. I'm going to go with Han Solo just because I always thought he was badass. And,
In the orange jumpsuit.
No, not in the orange jumpsuit.
That was the best Han Solo.
What?
Yeah.
What are you talking about?
Wait, no.
You
That's,
have the wrong
that's
Han
different
Solo.
guy. Captain Picard.
All right, we're going to call this one because it's gone off the wheels.
We've gone off the tracks.
All right. Thank you very much for joining. It's good to see you again.
Lovely to see you.
Another part of the family here from Identity. As far as we go, you can find us on the web, identitycenter.com. We're on Twitter at IDAC Podcast. If you want to learn more about Saviynt and connect with Jamie will have links in the show notes, but you can find Saviynt, SAVIYNT.com. And we'll go ahead and leave it there for this week. Thanks, everyone, for listening, and we'll talk with everyone in the next one. Thanks for listening to the Identity at the Center podcast. If you like what you heard, don't forget to subscribe and visit us on the web at identityatthecenter.com.